Okay. Not too long ago, I did a story about the Cannabis Caucus, which was a new thing in the U.S. Capitol over there. Um, and we have an update on the Cannabis Caucus. This is from the Cannabis, how Congress is getting serious about cannabis amid White House uncertainty. And this is again Alicia Wallace from another article by her from the Cannabis. So, if you remember the story, not too long ago, the Cannabis Caucus was formed. And now the Cannabis Caucus, 2017 is in. Trump and Sessions are your people. And people are, worried about Sessions, worried about what he might do. So I guess you've seen these preemptive strikes from coast to coast, from places all the way to Hawaii to New York State, and even New Jersey has legislation on the floor to legalize recreational marijuana, believe it or not. I don't do a whole lot of reporting on places like that because none of those places are really that likely to pass it. I would give Hawaii the best chance on that one. But all these places also have decriminalization bills on the floor. They got hemp bills on the floor, you name it. But as far as the federal government goes, they've done things from time to time, and they've been, vocal about things when their state has legal marijuana and the federal government is doing something. Well, now they actually have a caucus in Congress to help us on the outside, the activist, some way for us to directly communicate to them what our needs are as far as what they could do for us, and vice versa. What can we do for them? What can we do to pave the way for better laws or better reforms of the marijuana prohibition law, in essence? So anyway, let me go here. We have members of the newly formed bipartisan Cannabis Caucus are preparing to introduce a slew of legislation, including resurrecting bills from sessions past and aiming to develop a united front to further congressional action on cannabis. And weeks before the official launch of the caucus, they say support is building even amid a backdrop of uncertainty for the industry under the watch of prospective Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Quote, the Congress is going to be a little better than last Congress. And last Congress was better than the one before that, said Representative Earl Blumenauer, Democrat from Oregon, in an interview with The Cannabist. Quote, it's very interesting watching the momentum build. The co-chairs of the caucus announced in December, including founding members Blumenauer, Representative Jared Polis from Colorado, Democrat, and Representative Dana Rohrabacher, Republican from California, and Representative Don Young, Alaska. Blumenauer said the group is working to broaden the participation among other congressional members. Quote, and I'm more hopeful than ever before we can move legislation like Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol Act, Polis says, referencing legislation introduced in 2015 to remove marijuana entirely from the Controlled Substances Act, decriminalize the substance, and open the doors to nationally regulated recreational industry under the oversight of the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Polis' 2015 bill is one of 25 marijuana-related measures introduced in the past 2 years that likely will be revived in the coming months, Blumenauer said. Now, these bills never see the light of day as far as getting debated on the floor or taken to a vote. Will it this time? Well, we have the same Republican-led Congress with Paul Ryan leading the Congress, and we have a lot of prohibitionists that are, in these different committees that these bills have to go through. So it's really a hard thing to gauge right now. All right, but as of Monday, 3 of those bills have been introduced in the current session. Now, these bills are, to me, these are old bills that have already been around, but maybe they've been retouched up and updated or whatever. But here we have House Resolution 331, States Medical Marijuana Property Rights Protection Act, sponsored by Barbara Lee, Democrat from California, prevents civil asset forfeiture for property owners of state-sanctioned medical marijuana facilities. Then we have H.R. 714, Legitimate Use of Medical Marijuana Act, or LUMA, sponsored by Representative H. Morgan Griffith, Republican for Virginia. This moves marijuana to Schedule II on the Controlled Substances Act and provides that no provision of the CSA or Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act would prohibit the prescription, recommendation, use, transport, possession, manufacture, or distribution under state law in states with medical marijuana regulations. That is a really tiptoey way to take it to Schedule II without saying you're going to shut down the existing medical marijuana situation in these states that have it. I would like to see a little bit more details on that and to see whether that's a thing or not. And then finally, we have H.R. 715, Compassionate Access Act, also sponsored by Griffith, to provide for the rescheduling of marijuana, the medicinal use of marijuana in accordance with state law, and the exclusion of cannabidiol from the definition of marijuana and for other purposes, unquote. The bill, which includes language on research, would not allow CBD to be treated as a controlled substance. Blumenauer said another key plan of action will be passing amendments similar to the Rauerbacher-Farr medical marijuana amendment, which restricted U.S. Department of Justice funds from being used to interfere with state-based legal operations. Marijuana-friendly members had to do that during the Obama administration, and they're going to have to do the same thing during the Trump administration, he added. Paulus says he's worried about Sessions' approach to the industry, given his past statements, but noted that ultimately Sessions will work for Trump, and we need to make the case directly to Trump about the marijuana industry's economic and job creation benefits, as well as investing and research opportunities. Quote, until the underlying federal law is addressed, the industry exists really at the discretion of the president and the attorney general, and it's a dangerous place to be, Paulus said. Representatives Rauerbacher and Young were not immediately available for comment. So there you have it. We have the Cannabis Caucus, and you can find out more about who's in the Cannabis Caucus by staying tuned. I'm going to do more stories about the Cannabis Caucus as things happen. Currently, there's not a whole lot of information. We have a shaky members list that, quote, was, I don't know if it's 10 or 100. That's the quote I heard. I believe that was from Rauerbacher. And we just don't know what they're going to do. We don't know what they're up to. We know that there's several bills in the Senate and several bills in the House that have been floating around for years now. Years and years. Senator Bernie Sanders, back in 2015, put out a bill that said basically treat marijuana like alcohol, treat marijuana like tobacco, take it off of the Controlled Substances Act, and pave the way for research. Elizabeth Warren, back then in 2015, 2016, and now again in 2017, has been pushing for banking for marijuana businesses, and that's in the Senate. In the House, you've had Rand Paul and others pushing for hemp and decriminalization for marijuana for small amounts in their states. Not in their states, but coming from southern states. And these are all people that are in Congress that have the potential to be on this Cannabis Caucus. So if you want to find out where your representative stands, a good idea would be to write them and ask them if they are in the Cannabis Caucus and why they aren't if they're not. That's all I got for this. The Cannabis Caucus, stay tuned for more updates about their activities and maybe see what they're actually going to do. And like I said, this article is framed as, well, these, the people that have put this Cannabis Caucus together are acting because they want to preemptively act before Jeff Sessions might do anything crazy. And I mean, you can't blame them, because there's a lot of people in the industry right now that are, every day is a new day, and you never know when the battering ram hits your door. That's basically how it feels to operate a marijuana business. And the more business you do, the more dangerous it is. You got cash on hand. You have all these liabilities. You have employees. And it's just, it's really hard out there when you don't know what's going to happen next.